As I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right wing doom? It's worth it. How to talk to your right wing relatives, friends, and neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics on Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. Of course, good morning to the entire world receiving the signals from the magic of El Internet, formerly known as ARPANET, created by who? We, the people of many places, of course. And look, folks, we have a great show for you today. But without further ado, let's throw it to the studio. El Señor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba.
And it is Monday morning at the radio, the 21st of July, 2020. And I've got a question for you, Egberto.
Yes, sir.
Where am I?
2 years behind.
It's been one of those kind of days already, I see. All right. Got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
They're saying that they're going to release a bunch of material on Obama. Tulsi Gabbard has found a whole bunch of insidious things that Obama did, including treason. And the Mueller report. Well, we know about the Mueller report and all of that's in it. And there's Facebook arguments going on. Well, the Mueller report was all manufactured evidence. When it came out, Obama didn't like it, so he had it all changed. What do you know about that?
It's all the right wing conspiracy theory stuff that Tulsi has to find some way to attenuate, because now she's in, all these conspiracists are now in power, and it's all going to fall on the face, just like the Epstein thing is going. I mean, look, we are doing a whole lot of crap, and my biggest fear is that as we're doing these things at the Justice Department, and all these other places, that something is going to happen terroristically, that is. And then when that occurs and a reaction comes from that, it is going to be what we least expect. So, I mean, I
figured that it was a smoke screen.
Yes.
You know, where they're dragging Obama into it, and the Mueller report, and how he didn't like the Mueller report, so he sat down and manufactured some evidence of it, and et cetera, et cetera. And you know, the MAGAs believe this stuff.
Yeah, but remember, this the other thing. The other thing that they're doing, right, is the only thing folks hate more than liberals and these folks hate more than liberals and progressives is Obama. So how do you act? You see, the reason they want the Epstein report out is not that they think Donald Trump is on it, but the reason it's not going to come out is because Donald Trump is on it. Now, they don't want that report out. I mean, Donald Trump doesn't want that report out because of that, but they want that report because they think they're going to find a whole lot of liberal pedophiles and liberal, that's what they are expecting. Well, since Trump can't release those files, he has to give Tulsi another task. Who do they hate more? Obama. Now bring Obama into that to quiet them on the Epstein stuff. And guess what? It's actually working. It's actually working. If you take a look at the MAGA support polls and the Republican support polls, we're still at 89%. It's amazing. It's amazing.
That is amazing. Okay, yeah. I was just curious about that, what you might know. And so I kind of figured that it was some kind of a weird smoke screen that they were pulling. And they're trying to take the headlines off of the Epstein files.
Yes.
But we just need to keep up the pressure.
You know, they're not gonna do it. Let me tell you, the only reason that I want other people to keep that pressure up on the Epstein stuff. But I want those of us that are informing the public to remind them of what's coming down. In fact, we're going to cover some of that in what's coming down the pike with the bad bill, with the big bad bill, with the rescission bill and all of that. Because as long as all of us talk about Epstein, that damage that's being done with those bills goes on the back burner. And, and finding the Epstein file isn't going to give mom and dad that need, like this another story I'm covering today is the program that employs that help people 55 to 64 get employment. It's gone away or defunded. Nobody's talking about that. Why? Well, everything else is clouded up on Obama this and Epstein this and that, and while those people suffer, who's there for them? So that's my thing. But anyway, let
All
me
right.
shut up.
Well, the phone's ringing, so I'm going to go grab it while Jack gives his wisdom.
Okay, brother Jack, the wisdom, my brother, the wisdom.
Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
I am doing fine, sir. Talk to me.
All right. Extra cruel. Trump administration ends senior community service employment program. Many seniors rely on this program to find jobs to help them make ends meet. This is the problem with corporate run government. If you fall below their bottom line, they just X you and your life off the spreadsheet. Why are the policies of the Trump administration so cruel to seniors? Because they see the senior as dead weight dragging down their bottom line. They would rather see the senior suffer and die.
Yeah, that saves them a lot of money, doesn't it, Jack?
Yeah.
That's pretty rough, man. Hey,
Yeah.
Tag is on the line. He wants to start out the show.
Oh, okay. Tag wants to start the show. Let's go
Yeah.
directly to El Senor Tag. You know who runs this program. Our people, our listeners. It's your show. Come on in, brother Tag.
When you were saying the right wing's been going after Obama,
Yes, sir.
they also have been going after Hillary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they
And
have.
I was thinking back about when Bill was president, and the one thing that Hillary worked on hard as a wife of a president was health care.
Yeah.
She wanted to do a big health care bill, and that got shot down PDQ. So
Yeah.
I think that if Hillary could have gotten a health care bill during Clinton administration, we all would have been so much better off.
Look, I mean, we've been trying to fix healthcare for a long time, but Tag, the plutocracy does not want healthcare fixed because the percentage of our budget that is healthcare, most of that is wasted, and where is that money going? To a whole small group of folks who make a lot of money in the business. We have to have look, you're going to need a virtual, and folks, I'm saying virtual, guys, I'm saying virtual. We actually need a virtual revolution to really change healthcare. And I think what that means is mass education on how screwed up our healthcare is and why it's screwed up, and not allow those people who continue to give the misinformation to get through. But healthcare, I think, is the one place that we could actually start again, folks, virtual revolution. Tag, what's up?
Just real quickly, two things. I mean, in our little area in mid-Michigan here, two things we have are schools and healthcare providing jobs. And they want to get rid of both of them. How the heck people are going to earn a living?
Yeah. And they don't want basic income. I mean, look, the thing that bothers me the most is that as these guys are cutting programs, they have no foresight in seeing what the effects of those cuts are going to be. And ultimately, I believe one of the things I think progressives and Democrats should be working on, and that's what I was talking to Howard about, the Epstein stuff. The Epstein story is real. If the Epstein papers are released as they should, Donald Trump will look, well, I don't know if he can't look any worse in my eyes, but because personally, and folks, this is my personal belief. My personal belief is that given the way he treats women, and he even have said on national TV about his own daughter, it would not surprise me at all for them to find that he, just like Epstein says, He likes these little girls. It would not have been any surprise to me if I find out that Donald Trump is that way as well. That said, would that make me feel any different about Donald Trump? No. But at least because I look at him as the most despicable character out there. But again, it's for the others to see. The guy has 90% support in the Republican Party, and a large part of that is the evangelical base. The people that purportedly are against all the things this guy stands for. Anyway, what else is up, Tag?
Well, I just want to take a quick word about economy of scale.
Yes.
It doesn't really have anything to do with Epstein, but you know, our government works because of economy of scale. And if you ever want to really consider how that works, jump in your car and go out on any street. You don't pay directly for that street. That street is provided by the economy of scale of the American people.
Yeah, you
And
know,
if we didn't have an economy of scale through the government, we wouldn't have any roads.
yeah, you know, the guy who called on Friday, I made a video out of actual to and you know, because I actually gave the answer after he hung up the phone. But he called and said that he didn't want to pay any taxes. He called and he said he didn't like
Right?
social programs and all these other issues. And the thing about it is his everything that he did to call us from he said I am driving. What did he was he driving on? Roads created by tax dollars. He was on the phone to us. What was he using? A cellular network where the instances of the pieces that was able to create this network was generated by your tax dollars and NASA program and other programs at universities. So everything that he did to complain about taxes and government is something that benefited him. So, I mean, one of the problems with those people who always talk about no taxes or no social programs, very rarely do they understand that they are a major beneficiary of the same things they want to remove. But, you know, that's why we're here to inform. Anything else? Or anything
That's
else?
why, that's why we live in such a great country today,
There you
because it
go.
was built from the foundation up on the economy of scale of our government and
Well,
taxes. I'm sorry.
well, and don't let me just say this. Okay, wait, because I think for all that listen, because I think everybody should be rewarded as such. One of the reasons we grew as fast as we could is we were also the recipient of the largest free labor force in the world at that time.
Yep.
We were also able to expand faster than anyone because we didn't do it kindly. So all of these things we should know. But thank you, brother, and have a very, very great rest of your day. All right.
Good week. See you soon. Bye bye.
Thank you, brother. All right, I want to give a big welcome to Lisa Blair, Atlanta, Georgia, and Harry Denson from Missouri City. Harry says, "Good morning, politics done right." Fassi, Howard, Jack, and our host Egberto, looking forward to another edifying show this morning. I'll try, or I should say, we will try to live up to your expectation. We think Howard and Jack has done a great job thus far. Now it's my turn. Welcome aboard, Cheryl Elkins. Morning from Massachusetts. We cannot be distracted by the regime's smokes and mirrors. DHS is continuing to build their gulag archipelago. DOD is complicit for fixing Fort Dix, New Jersey, becoming a detention center. More 287G agreements are being put in place across the country with local law enforcement without notice. Cheryl, you are a blessing. Thank you for keeping informed. All right, folks, I want to start the program as John Davis, welcome aboard. John A. Davis, welcome aboard. I want to remind you that here, Texas, our governor, who is one of Trump's sycophants, decided that he was going to take up Trump on his request or on his demand to try to carve 5 more Republican seats out of Texas, 5 more Republican seats out of Texas, so that any seats that they lose in New York, they can claim recovery in Texas. And let me tell you, first of all, realize what that means. That means that even as Texas is probably the way they vote is probably a 45-50 state, which means the voters, that people that come out to vote, probably vote on the order of 55% or so Republican, 45% Democrat. In other words, a 10-point difference. That's not where the state is at. That's where the voting is at. We have a lot of interesting types of suppression that allows that to happen because we are not a red state, we are a non-voting state. And what Greg Abbott would like to do is to make that to really give a bigger edge to Republicans, which mean our right now we're at 13 26. In other words, I think it's 13 Democrats and 26 Republicans, and that does nowhere reflect the percentage of Democrats versus Republicans. So it's not a democracy. Again, the Texas representation in Washington looks nothing like the population of the state. And what Abbott would like to do is make it worse. There's so much gerrymandering can do. I personally believe if he thinks he can get 5 seats more and he packs a few more blue districts full of Democrats in order to dilute their positions in other districts to try to create Republican districts, I think he could come and bite him in the butt because I think he could delete his Republican districts so much that the population, a pissed off population, could actually tip purple districts solidly blue. But again, he'll try. One of our very good leaders here in Texas, John Cotter, he's the president of the Humble Area District, the Humble Area Democrats. I spoke to him on Friday, and what I want to do is play that interview. It's an important interview, not only for Texas residents, but for every state. Ohio is trying the same, supposedly, will try to redistrict as well in order to make Congress less representative of what our population looks like. But let's go ahead and do that right now, and I'm pretty sure I activated it correctly. Here we go. Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. Today we are honored to have the president of the Humble Area Democrats. But I think introducing John Cotter as just the president of the Humble Area Democrat does a disservice for what he actually does. He is a great inspirer of folks to get things done, not only in Northeast Harris County, but he's an example that all of us should follow as ones who really want to make a change in our society and ones who complain about us needing to have a change. So, John Cotter, without further ado, welcome to Politics Done Right, and thank you so kindly for having this talk with us today.
Well, thank you, Alberto. I really appreciate the invite. It's great to be here with you.
Well, yesterday I saw something that really touched me, and that was I saw a bit of fight with Democrats pretty much saying we're just gonna not be scared, and it was symbolic, but it meant something. Cory Booker spoke to after they attempted to bring Bovee into try to confirm Bovee. He went ahead and he had a long speech to tell them that they're really trying to push this nomination through, even though it shouldn't go through. They all got up and walked out. It was symbolic, but the American people saw that and said, wow, if they can do that, maybe we need to join in. Now, here in Texas, there's a lot happening. Why don't you tell me one of the things that you think is of utmost importance right now with what we're going through here in Texas, but that will have national implications?
I think one of the most important things that's coming up in the special session that was called by the governor of Texas is the mid cycle redistricting, and they're specifically targeting 4 Democrat House seats and long held coalition seats, majority minority type seats, and they're just targeting them specifically. and that can be have a huge effect on the balance of power for the House after the 26th election.
Now, one of the reasons that they're targeting is pretty much to dilute them in such a manner that they can actually extract a few more Republican seats that really won't reflect the balance between Democrats, Republicans in the state. Is that correct?
That's correct. Just like the 18th district, which is a vacant right now, and we're going to have a special election soon. That has long been held by a person of color, and they're going to try to dilute that vote and either bring in some Republicans into that district while they push some Democrats into some very safe Republican seats. And it could have an effect of that seat turning Republican, which if that's what the voters want, that's one thing. But they're forcing the voters into these districts. And so they're picking their voters. And then the voters that have lived there for years and have voted, for Democrats in those seats no longer have a voice.
Yeah. And that is sad because you just said it. These are people who not only felt that they had a voice, they had a voice. They're in the 18th district, as you were speaking about. They had Sheila Jackson Lee, who represented them quite well. She passed away. And then they had Sylvester Turner, who only had a short time, but would have represented them well. And he passed away as well. Now we don't know what's going to happen.
That's correct. And, we're going to have the special election this fall for the 18th. And then if this redistricting takes place, that entire district is going to change for the actual election that will take place in November of 26.
Now, you have some options. You have some thoughts as to what really needs to be done. First of all, I think one of the things that you see is you're probably not seeing the urgency of what Governor Abbott is about to do. You don't see that urgency neither locally or nationally. Am I correct with that sentiment?
I totally believe that. I mean, I don't mean to be hyperbolic or anything, but the House is on fire with this type of thing. The president is concerned that the midterms are going to be very bad for him, and he wants to keep control of the House with Speaker Johnson. And so these are easy targets for them because they got a complicit governor in the state of Texas, plus a Republican-controlled legislature.
Now, interestingly, before we go into some of the solutions that you spoke about, it's not only in Texas that they're attempting to do this, but they're also attempting to do this in Ohio and other places, which really will make. Well, I'll be honest with you, and you tell me if you agree or not. But I think you can get a little bit too cute, and sometimes districts that you think are very safe based on what and I don't want to only talk demographics, but what the values of the people were in that district all about. It could come back and burn you, couldn't it?
It could, absolutely. And so, that's one thing for them to consider when they start redrawing these districts. What will the voters actually say? Because we can see right now that there's a lot of pushback on these things that are coming out of the federal government, driven by Trump and those folks that he's appointed. And the American citizens seems to be, by and large, don't support it. I mean, look at the people that are protesting day in and day out. We have several friends that are on the streets all the time, using their voice. And so it could come back to bite them here in Texas, but it's not a guarantee.
Yeah, because a lot of districts, the Republican districts that they may think are so safe that they can throw some more Democrats in there, they may get a surprise when other folks in that district wake up. Now, as far as support for what really needs to be done, you have some ideas because, as it turns out, money plays a role, not necessarily the only role, but money plays a role. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, there's always money in politics, and right now the Democrats are in a minority in the Texas legislature. And so the votes aren't there to say no. And I think we need to use all the tools that we have in the toolbox to put a stop to this redistricting. And so there's different ways of doing it. Our Democrats have proven before that, maybe if you don't show up and they don't have a quorum, they can't get anything done. And so that's one of the tools. There's other tools. One thing that I think we should be very cautious about is just watering down a little bit what they do. It's a bad bill, still a bad bill, and when it comes time to run again in 26, you can't say, "Well, I only made it a little bit better," as opposed to, I put skin in the game.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. I think that means a lot to the people.
Because when Democrats believe in institutions, Democrats usually stand up for institution and act the way the institution was the original intent of the institutions. As we saw with Cory Booker yesterday, they went against all their committee rules to push that vote through. They didn't give any opportunities to the other side, which the other side by rules could have should have been given the opportunity to do. They break the rules, but we always seem to not want to bend it a bit. So what should we do, John?
I honestly think at this point in time, just because we're in the minority and have no way to stop whatever the governor wants to do this time around, I think our Democratic friends in the Texas legislature should break quorum and leave the state for the special session, and then they can't have the vote.
I agree wholeheartedly. Now, before you talk numbers, you told me that you've spoken to a few folk, maybe a few people in the legislature. We won't call any names out or anything like that, but that actually told you they would love to do that, but there's a reason why at this point they can't.
One of the things that will factor into it, I mean, one is we like to try to play by the rules and get stuff done for our constituents, but it's expensive to leave the state. Many of our state representatives work other jobs because the state legislature job's not a full-time deal. Mm-hmm. And so they have responsibilities, businesses and things that they need to run, but it's also expensive to get on an airplane and fly out of state and then stay in a hotel for how long are they going to have to stay out?
Right.
And, the costs are add up really, really fast. And so it's not economically feasible to be able to do that. And so I honestly think that, if our DNC, the folks at the top of the Democratic National Committee and the leadership, they need to figure out a way to help these folks stop this gerrymander in the mid-season and help them break the quorum. And it'll cost money, but they need the help.
Let me ask you this, based on the context that you have, do you think there are enough Democrats? How many Democrats would have to be out to break the quorum?
I honestly don't have that number in front of me.
Will it be all of them or just as some of them? I don't quite remember myself.
Yeah, I think it's a good majority of them, because if you remember when they did it the last time, that it only took a handful of Democrats coming back, and then they had quorum.
Right.
And so it's a pretty much almost all or nothing. Yeah.
Well, interestingly, I think you had some suggestions as far as, look, it's going to be expensive, but if we believe what we're saying, which we know it's a fact, which we do believe that these are existential times, then the money is there in the coffers of many safe Democrats. The money is there, and if they want to ensure that their viability as a governing body remains in the House, that it's done, what should they do? Give me your thoughts.
I think they need to put up, and they need to put the money up to help our legislatures leave and break quorum. Like the DNC right now has $15 million in their coffers based on what Open Secrets is saying. That seems like a lot of money. But, in the grand scheme of things of politics and campaigns, it's not a whole lot. But one of the things that's interesting about that is we have two leaders, minority leaders, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. Together, those two legislators have $13 million in their coffers. And I understand they need to run a campaign and stuff when it's their time to be elected, but it just shows that there's money out there. If they want to keep their seat or be the new majority leader, maybe they need to help out a little bit.
They need to invest. And, I think a lot of times because Texas is considered a red state, it's not, folks. Texas is not a red state. It's a non-voting state. But because they look at Texas as a red state, they don't want to invest. But they come from money, and also they do need the Democrats that come out of Texas. They do need them, and if they can get a couple more or the status quo in Texas, it helps reduce what they have to get in New York or we get in California or other places where they need to pick up seats to hold the majority. So I cannot see. Let me tell you, John. For me, what I find very frustrating is millions of dollars is a lot of money for me. It's a lot of dollars for you. Okay, but for what these guys represent, for the corporations that donate to these guys, if they really had a vested interest in doing this, it seems like they can raise the money, even if they don't immediately have it in their coffers, that they could direct certain people to, look, we need support in Texas. Don't you think?
Absolutely. Whenever there's a fire and they need to put it out, there's money that shows up to help from various donors, across the country. And this is one of those cases that I think they could go find the money if they wanted to do it.
Now, do you think the will is there based on the people that you're talking to right now? If the money shows up to say, we'll be able to put you guys up for 30 days, for 60 days, do you think the will is there to do it?
I think a vast majority it would be. I heard one of our House district reps they were at a roundtable talking to a local Democratic club this week. And this person said, we're putting it on the line. We will possibly or probably get arrested this session. And it gives us hope that you guys have our back. She was talking to supporters in this group, and there was probably a couple hundred people in the room. And it's eye-opening, it's shocking, and maybe a little bit scary because they know that they could be arrested, to do their job representing their constituents. But so I think there's will there.
Well, I sure think we ought to put the pressure on. I think, John, by you speaking out on this issue, it is so important. Give me a closer. What do you want to tell not just our audience, but the politicians out there in Texas and specifically around the country that have a vested interest in our redistricting?
I think the past 6 months proved to us that we have to pull out all the stops. And this is just one of them, is to protect these seats. And I hope and want our representatives across the country to see how important this is in Texas and get on board and help us out.
John Cotter, president of the Humble Area Democrats and an activist in town. I don't know if you like to call yourself an activist, but I call you an activist because, you get a lot of work done and you bring a lot of people together. Thank you for all the work that you do. And thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Thanks, Roberto. It's an honor to be here with you.
All right, folks. Okay, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. It seems like we got a call. By the way, folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. John A. Davis says, I think they should flee the state as a lifetime member of the Democratic Party. I would support that. Good. And as a lifetime member, those support, that's a good thing. Let's go to Richard, line 1. Come on in, Richard.
Yeah, thank you. I believe it was the year 2000 when it was the same year.
You're kind of breaking up, Richard. Maybe, I don't know if you stay kind of in one spot.
Let me go outside.
Okay.
The reason I called is, look, I'm getting background. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I
Okay.
can hear you now. I don't know why you're getting background. Maybe something on the inside, but try to disregard that and tell me what you
I'm
want to
hearing
say,
my.
Richard.
Well, the reason I called was, I was listening to this. That's not the reason I called, but it was Dan Ellis got gerrymandered out of this district here. It was the year 2000 when they went to Oklahoma, and it was some turncoat in Houston that bailed out. And it doesn't take that many. I think it was like 12 of them. But anyway, the reason I called is, and I haven't listened to every show since Governor Bitter with Hate made his spiel about comparing blaming and football. Remember when he did this just recently after the flood?
Yes, I did. I do.
Here's where I'm going with this. And if somebody's brought this up, I apologize. But I have yet to hear anybody draw the connection. With his vouchers, there ain't going to be no football. The arrogance of treating his constituency as if they're that stupid that they can't make the connections that with his vouchers there won't be any Friday night football. Has
You know,
anybody brought this up?
no, actually, believe it or not, nobody has brought up that football in a lot of districts will be put at risk because, again, with the reduction in the amount that they'll be collecting per pupil, that could actually have an effect on it. Good point.
Well, the arrogance of that, of treating them that as if they're that stupid that they cannot connect the dots. That's how stupid they actually are. You know, this
Well,
guy is full of bitterness because he's stuck in a wheelchair. He wants everybody else to feel hate. I'm not hate. He wants everybody else to hurt. That's what I'm trying to say. He
well,
wants everybody else to.
let me tell you something about him in the wheelchair, right? You know how he got in the wheelchair with the tree falling on him, etc.
Of
And
course I do.
he was able to make a lot of money from the suit that he had on, on several entities that even up to now pays him quite a bit, right? But the funny thing
Yeah,
about it is while he was able to take advantage of that, he has denied others from taking advantage of what he's taken advantage to make the income that he's made for the accident that put him in the wheelchair. It's the level. Yeah, I don't know if you heard that or not, or you read that, but that's a reality.
I'm on top of that, of course, man. That's been one of those things that, like, wow, y'all going to vote for this guy after he pulls a ladder up behind him, so you can't get the same benefits that he did? Wow, that's how stupid. That's how stupid that his constituency is, and he treats them like they're that stupid by doing this connection between football and the blame game, and yet he's going to destroy football in Texas.
Yeah, well,
Nobody.
it's interesting. Now, I tell you, one of the things that I made sure to do is I wrote an article that I says, yes, you need to blame these Republican politicians, and we gave all the evidence that showed that, in fact, there was money and there were people wanting to put these warnings along the river so that when these events occurred, we can't stop the event, but we can stop people from getting killed. And there was money to do it, both under the Biden administration and under the Obama administration. And each time, either some of the constituents in Kerrville, or when Kerrville did get some sensible representation and asked the legislature for the funds to do it, they either denied it or people stopped it. So, in other words,
You know what?
the death of these people are on the hands of some of the constituencies in Kerrville and definitely on the Republican Texas legislature. Continue, brother.
You know why? You know why they turned it down?
Yeah,
Socialism. Oh, that's
yeah,
socialism. Oh my God, that's socialism. We can't do that. That's socialism. Well, how's that working for you now? And
yeah.
yeah, I have a lot for these people that lost their daughters and everything. And it's what I'm fixing to say is going to sound hateful, but you brought it on. You brought it on yourselves. You're the ones that are acted like you're allergic to socialism, and now you got dead daughters I'm sorry for sounding so hateful, but you people that want to act like socialism is the god awful evilness, and you wouldn't let it come to Texas with Obamacare and with fixing things like that needed to be fixed. Shame on you. Shame on you. Don't be pointing your fingers at Democrats. When the socialism of part of Democrats is what wanted to save your daughters. They wanted to put these safety features in place. So, I'm not glad it happened. I wish it didn't happen. I don't wish that kind of misery on anybody. But hey, you got to look at what's reality.
Thank you, Richard. Let me just say one more point before I let you go. But the very important point is the following. Many people are so concerned that putting government to do anything is socialism, and what they fail to understand is one of the reason their monies in government and taxes don't go as far is because there's something called corporate socialism that actually occurs. But again, if you're not informed, you don't know that. Thank you, Richard. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Let's go to Jimmy. Come on in, Jimmy.
Good morning, Alberto. Today is the first day of the Texas legislative session. I think your program should concentrate on that while the session is going on. And Representative Gene Wu has been elected by his Democratic friends to be the leader of they call it the Democratic Caucus. So I would urge you to interview him like once or twice a week for about 5 minutes to find out what the important issues are and what your listeners can do to help pass, good legislation and block bad legislation. You can interview him and then, of course, play it on your program the next day. You can interview him for once or twice a week for 5 minutes or so.
Oh yeah, I need to actually, believe it or not, I have an outstanding call to make to Representative Wu. I saw him at a bowling tournament a few weeks ago, and we spoke about getting him on. I hadn't followed up, but I probably should. Not I probably should. I will follow up with Wu. I think that's more than good advice, especially right now that the legislature is taking on some pretty important issues, redistricting, THC, and I don't remember what the third one is. But I can't argue what you're saying, Jimmy.
Yeah, I think it's important. He's been a very active legislator on a very important issue, so he's the guy to talk to. Do you know how long the session runs?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I tell you what, I'll get Gene on and we'll talk about that. Okay?
Good deal. I think that would be a very good help to pass good legislation and block bad legislation. So keep up the good work, Roberto.
Thank you, Jimmy, and thank you for that good advice, brother. You have a wonderful rest of your day. All right, Cowboy Hats is in the house. Sarah F. Kurnoff, Laura Lomax, Jane V. in North Carolina. John Davis says, with the question will... not going to say that one. All right, let's see what else we got. Pamela R. Daniels, Charlene Cristiano, welcome aboard. Great to have all of you in the house. And on the other chat, of course, we've got Birdie Duff, Eric Hayes. We also have Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. Welcome aboard. All right, let's go ahead and bring Bruce into the conversation. Bruce, how are you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning, Bruce.
Yeah, when you fire the people whose job it is to prevent terrorist attacks and then you alienate the world, of course we're in danger. As for the caller that didn't want to pay taxes, if his house catches on fire, I bet you a dime to a dollar, he calls the fire department. And then two quick things about Abbott, and I won't make fun of his handicap, but I'll just say when Trump told him what to do, he's just rolling with it. And the other thing is when it comes to his arguments, he doesn't have a leg to stand on. I'm done.
Bruce, you're a terrible person. Bruce. Why did you go there, Bruce? All right. Anyway, I want to, Harry Denson says, Egberto, I saw this interview with your great guest, John Cotter, on Friday afternoon. and Tom Hartman and Neil Aquino and the posse of Politics Done Right. Yeah, I consider all of them the posse, my brother. I consider it the posse. Let's bring Derek into the conversation. Derek, how you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning. How you doing, Roberto?
I'm doing fine, my brother. Talk to me.
Man, I tell you that first caller, man, I can hear it in his voice, in his frustration. That man is hurt, and I don't
Yeah.
blame him because the insatiable greed, the racial hatred that's going on in the United States. I still have to ask the question: are you any better than your father? Because isn't there something that just came out recently that they're going to give that officer that was responsible for the death of Breonna Taylor one day?
Yes.
Hey,
Yes.
that's a big slap in the face. And you know, Roberto, we had that same type of situation here in Houston with the death of Joe Campus Torres.
Yes.
They
Back in it. Yeah. Makawa. Yeah.
one damn dollar.
Yeah.
So y'all eat on that one.
Now let me tell you something, Derek. Derek, let me tell you something, okay?
Sure.
They are going out of their way. The Trump people, the Trump administration, and many of his sycophants, they are going out of their way to make you know that what they're doing is actually connotated by racial. Let me give some examples.
Mm-hmm.
The lie that they told to act while they're deporting brown and black people, the lie that they told to bring to to pay to buy a plane, not buy the transportation of white South African farmers to come to the United States on asylum as we're deporting people. Check this out. They brought them from South Africa. White South Africans are living a great life in South Africa, and they are on TV saying those guys that Trump brought over, what they're saying isn't true. This is what white South Africans are saying. Okay? We also have that just last week, Donald Trump wanted to make sure you know it's racial. What did he do? He said, unless the Washington Commanders changed their name back to the Washington Redskins, which is a slur towards some of our natives. They will not get the contract for the stadium or something of that sort. I mean, over and over again, when the first thing they did when they came in was talk about DEI programs because they understand that DEI seems to be related to giving minorities equal access to government. What's interesting is equal access simply means equal qualified access. What they in their in the stupidity in what they're doing, they didn't realize that the largest recipient of DEI programs, if you will, are white women. Right. White women are the biggest recipient of DEI. But everything that this administration does, they want to make their base, their rabid base, understand that this is what we're talking about. It's an ethnocentric issues. You elect us, and ethnocentrically, we're there to protect you. I mean, there's no doubt. I don't take pleasure in saying this, Derek, but they are doing a great job in telling you. Welcome, Joe from LA. Joanne from LA. They are telling you this is our intent. This couldn't be more obvious. Right. Anything else, my brother?
Yes, sir. No doubt. No doubt that's exactly what's going on. And the ugly side to that, Roberto, is that the forces of nature is answering in a very harsh manner. So a lot of your rabid base, it's going to start dwindling after these forces of nature keep kicking your behind them. But that's a hard call.
But let me just say, before you go, Derek, it's not just the forces of nature It's the forces of the government they put in, because the policies that Trump passed, and I try to explain this to my MAGA brothers and sisters, the policies that he has passed, because he doesn't care about them. He only cares
Yeah,
about the
you don't.
dollar for his wealthy people. He really hates them. He laughs at them. Behind closed doors, he laughs at them. While they hate folks like Oprah, etc., Oprah and those guys are his buddies. Let me tell you something, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Here is the
Yep.
deal. Here is the deal. The policies he passed will hurt MAGA more than anybody else, because they are the people that most depend on government services. They are the sicker of people, the sickest people in America, health wise.
Right.
They are the
Yep.
people dependent on government subsidies like SNAP and everything else. They are more dependent than anybody else. The rural areas are
Yeah.
not
And yep.
self-sustaining. So they'll get a
Right.
piece of
That's
that
right.
medicine. But anyway, thank you for
Hey,
calling in, my brother.
we saw what happened in Kerr. We saw what
Yes,
happened in.
there you
That
go.
was my point. Okay, thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother. Let's go to Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Yes, good morning, everyone. You know, my wife and I started corresponding to each other in 1993. We signed the first few documents in 1994, and she actually got here in 1996. We went to Welcome Food Center, and she put the food stuff that she wanted to purchase on a conveyor system for the belt, and it was like Lucille Ball. They didn't even know that there was a limit switch that will stop the belt automatically. Okay? Now, how many people came here illegally in the 4 years of Biden? 10 to 12 million were here illegally. 36,000 Chinese men of military age. 36,000. You know, what's fair about this? You're talking about policies? What is fair about the policy?
How many Canadians came over here and stayed?
I have no idea.
How comes you don't have any idea of
None.
How comes you have no idea of Canadians, but you do know how many people of Chinese descent and how many people
Yes,
of Mexican
yes,
descent? Why
I
do you
do.
know that and you don't know about Canadians? Or why don't you know about Germans? Why don't you know about Slovenians that are here illegally? How many of those are
Oh,
here?
how about English? How about from England? How many are
Right.
illegal from England?
Why don't you know those numbers?
That's not important. We have
What?
36,000 military men from China that came here illegally.
Okay. Again, let me just tell you this. You're my brother. I understand. But your racism is so obvious. But I tell you,
Your
your
racism is
racism is so
obvious.
obvious. Thank you,
Your
brother.
racism is obvious. Man.
Have a wonderful day, my dear friend. Um, that is a question that a lot of people don't ask, right? In other words, there are a lot of undocumented workers, undocumented people in this country. And they don't all come from south of the border. They don't all come from China and Africa. But because we don't look specifically at Canadians, Canadians come here and stay all the time and never get their papers fixed. They made a big show about sending a Canadian back to prove a point a few months ago, but it isn't something that's happening. Look, I don't. I'll be very, very honest with you. If there are people here undocumented, they're not costing the system. In fact, they're a positive to society. I look at that as a flaw in the immigration system, and I'm not trying to deport them, get rid of them. I mean, they're doing good work out here, etc. I don't have a problem. That's me. I don't have a problem with that. And one of the reasons I don't have a problem with that is the genesis of this country. We didn't start this country honorably. We maimed and killed and genocided and abused and enslaved. All those things we did. I look at those people who get over here, do a good job, and stay, even maybe not going through the quote unquote legal way. I don't look at that as this huge, big, bad thing. It's a civil offense anyway. But again, given what the original settlers did over here, that is benign comparatively. Let's go to John. Come on in, John. 30 seconds.
Yeah, just to dovetail on what you just said, I grew up in close to a town on Long Island where the English Quakers in one night killed an entire tribe, the Massapequa Indians. They no longer exist, and they were hired by the Dutch to do that. It was very early on in the settlement of this.
Okay, that's I said 30 seconds, John. I got to let you go because I got one more call and the show is over. But tell us that tomorrow, John. Let's go to Michael.
Yep.
Michael, 30 seconds.
Yes. I want to say kudos again to Johnny, who put it all in perspective. Please focus on this legislature. It's much too many important topics. We need the phone calls to be ringing off the hooks at our state representatives, because what they're trying to do is steal 2026 and 2028. Thank you and have a great day. Thank you, Mr. Johnny.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Michael. And by the way, that is Jimmy. But let me throw it right back to the studio.
Oh, nothing here, Egberto. Jack's got something, though.
Talk to me, Jack.
All right. Mid-cycle redistricting. This is how they enslave you.
All right.
Fight the
There you
power.
go. Fight the powers. All right. All right, folks. Look, thank you all. Love you all. Remember, you can get the rest of the show at politicsandright.com/newsletter. politicsandright.com/newsletter. Please also do remember to, you can reach me at kpft@politicsandright.com. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics and Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what?